Hi guys, welcome to my channel, hope everyone's doing fine. On today's menu we have some really messed up cults connected with crime and murder. Maybe not as known as People's Temple or Mason family, these cults are nevertheless scary and twisted. By definition, a cult is a social group that is defined by its unusual religious, spiritual or philosophical beliefs, or by its common interest in a particular personality, object or goal. People join cults for different reasons: self-improvement or joining people with common interest. Most of them didn't even dream they're gonna be involved in some really insane stuff like ritual killings or suicide. Before we start, please hit the like and subscribe button and visit the 3X channel for some awesome real ghost videos. Although I'm not a cult leader, do follow me through today's stories. The Order of Solar Temple is a cult and religious sect that claims to be based upon the ideas of Knights Templar. OTS was started by Joseph de Mambro and Luc Jouret in 1984 in Geneva. Some historians allege that the Solar Temple originated with French author Jacques Breyer, who established Order of the Solar Temple in 1952. In 1968, a schematic order was renamed the Renewed Order of the Solar Temple under the leadership of French right-wing political activist Julien Origa. The OTS is perhaps most notorious for being associated with a series of murders and mass suicides in 1994 and 1995 that claim several dozen lives in France, Switzerland and Canada. According to Temple member Robert Charbrier in his book Why a Revival of the Order of the Solar Temple, Volume 1, The Body, 1975, the aims of the Order of the Solar Temple included establishing correct notion of authority and power in the world, an affirmation of the primacy of the spiritual over the temporal, assisting humanity through a great transition, preparing for the second coming of Christ as a solar God King, and furthering a unification of all Christian churches and Islam. The group reportedly drew some inspiration for its teachings from British occultist Aleister Crowley, who headed the Order of the Easter Temple from 1923 until his death in 1947. The temple's activities were a mix of early Christian identity, UFO religion and New Age philosophy, using different adapted Freemason rituals. Jouret was interested in attractive, wealthy and influential members, and it was reported that several affluent Europeans were secret members of the group. In October 1994, Tony Dutoit in Fatsan, aged 3 months, was killed at the group center in Morning Heights, Quebec. The baby has been stabbed repeatedly with a wooden stake. It is believed that de Mambro ordered the murder because he identified the baby as the Antichrist described in the Bible. He believed that the Antichrist was born in order to prevent de Mambro from succeeding in his spiritual aim. Sometimes afterwards, de Mambro and 12 followers performed the ritual Last Supper. Subsequently, apparent mass suicides and murders were conducted in western Switzerland and at Morning Heights. 15 Inner Circle members committed suicide with poison, 30 was killed by bullets or smothering, and 8 others were killed by other means. In Switzerland, many of the victims were found in a secret underground chapel, lined with mirrors and other items of Templar symbolism. The bodies were dressed in the order's ceremonial robes and were encircled, feet together, heads outward, most with plastic bags tied over their heads. They had each been shot in the head. The plastic bags may have been a symbol of ecological disaster that would befall the human race after the OTS members move on to Sirius. It's also possible that these bags were used as a part of the OTS rituals and that the members would have voluntarily worn them without being placed under pressure. There was also evidence that many of the victims in Switzerland were drugged before they were shot. Other victims were found in 3 ski chalets. Several dead children were laying together. The tragedy was discovered when officers rushed to the site to fight the fires that had been ignited by remote control devices. Farewell letters left by the believers stated that they believed they were leaving to escape the hypocrisies and oppressions of this world. A mayor, a journalist, a civil servant, and a sales manager were found among the dead in Switzerland. Records seized by the Quebec police show that some members have personally donated over $1 million to the Mambro. Another attempted mass suicide of the remaining members was thwarted in the late 1990s. All the suicide murders and attempts occur around the dates of the equinox and solstice, in same relation to the beliefs of the group. Another mass death incident related to OTS took place during the night between 15 and 16 December 1995. On 23 December 1995, 16 bodies were discovered in a star formation in the Vercors mountains of France. It was found later that the 2 of them shot the others and then committed suicide by firearm. On the morning of 23 March 1997, 5 members of OTS took their own lives in Saint-Casimir, Quebec. A small house erupted in flames, leaving behind 5 charred bodies for the police to pull from the rubble. 3 teenagers, aged 13, 14 and 16, the children of one of the couples that died in the fire, were discovered in a shed behind the house, alive but heavily drugged. Michael Tabachnik, an international renowned Swiss musician and conductor, was arrested as a leader of the Solar Temple in the late 1990s. He was indicted for participation in criminal organization and murder. He came to trial in France during the spring 2001 and was acquitted. French prosecutors appealed against the verdict, and the court ordered a second trial, beginning October 24, 2006. He was again cleared less than 2 months later on December 2006. The true Russian Orthodox Church was an independent Russian Orthodox-like doomsday cult founded by Pyotr Kuznetsov. The self-name of the group was Heavenly Jerusalem. This group broke away from the Russian Orthodox Church, considering it insufficiently orthodox. Its members was not allowed to eat processed food, watch television and handle money. They rejected barcodes, national identification number and passports because they contained satanic symbols, the number of the beast. In November 2007, between 29 and 35 members of the group holed themselves up in a cave in Russian Penza region near the village Nikolskoye, threatening mass suicide if authorities tried to intervene. Kuznetsov had told them to hide themselves away to await the end of the world, which he predicted would take place in May 2008. Kuznetsov himself was not with the group, but he had been placed under police arrest. On March 28, 2008, 7 women who had holed up in a cave for months were being treated by emergency workers, regional officials said. 3 days later, 14 members emerged from the cave after melting snow caused part of the cave to collapse. On April 3, 2008, Kuznetsov was taken to hospital where officials said that he may have attempted suicide after realizing his prediction has been wrong. In subsequent years, he was in a psychiatric ward with the diagnosis of paranoia. In 2016, the court once again extended the period of his compulsory treatment at the request of the chief of the regional psychiatric clinic. On May 16, 2008, the last 9 members of the cult emerged from the bunker due to toxic fumes produced by 2 cult members who died over winter. On May 21st, after removing the bodies of the dead, the cave was blown up. Officially, it was done because of its danger to local population and curious visitors. After leaving the cave, most of the sect members left the village except for one family. Several people moved to a deaf village in Belarus. Vasil Nedogon, head of the family remaining in the Nikolskoy, in 2012, continued to live with his wife and 3 children without electricity and passports. He still waited that the end times will come soon. Solby Newton was a controversial psychotherapist who led an unorthodox therapy group in New York City. It had no formal name, but outsiders referred to members as Sullivans. Newton's original family name was Cohen. He was born in St. John, New Brunswick, and attended the University of Wisconsin. He later went to Chicago, where he associated with radical circles at the University of Chicago, becoming a communist and anti-fascist. He was drafted into the United States Army in 1948. He went on to study psychotherapy after the war. Newton retained a dual focus on politics and psychology through his life. In 1957, Newton and his wife, Dr. Jane Fierce, founded the Sullivan Institute for Research in Psychoanalysis in New York. They had previously worked at the William Alanson White Institute, but left several years after the death of Harry Stack Sullivan, one of the White Institute's founders. Although Newton's and Pierce Institute was named after Sullivan, it was widely seen as offering a distorted version of Sullivan's teaching. The Institute's techniques held that traditional family ties were the root cause of mental illness and exposed a non-monogamous lifestyle. During the 1960s, an informal community centered on the therapeutic practices of the Institute began to form. At its peak in the late 1970s, this community had several hundred members, patients and therapists, living in the Upper West Side. The group gained some notoriety not only for its non-monogamous lifestyle, but because patients were often encouraged to sever ties with their families. A major project was the Fourth Wall Political Theater, which performed from roughly 1976 to 1991. It was based in the New York East Village. Newton was a board member and performer in several productions. Newton was also producer of several documentaries directed by Joan Harvey, Newton's fifth wife, an actress and psychoanalyst. Membership declined in late 1980s when the group was subjected to unfavorable publicity, investigation into alleged professional misconduct by its therapist, high-profile child custody cases, and organized opposition by disaffected former members who described the group as a psychotherapy cult. Newton was married and divorced 6 times and had 10 children, among them cultural anthropologist Eastern Newton. He died in 1991 from sepsis following the onset of Alzheimer's disease. So guys, what do you think about these cults? Which one, in your opinion, was the most dangerous and insane? Leave your comments. But before you go, please subscribe, like and share, and if you have any stories, true, fictional, creepypasta, UFO encounters, anything strange and creepy really, send it my way. Emails are on the screen and in the description box. Thank you for stopping by, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.